And welcome back to Big Apple Hockey for another episode of the Final Buzzer with yours truly, John Filkowski. Follow me on Twitter at 92in82, as you can see there. And I'll have the ticker across the bottom of the screen as well. Join the Facebook group and follow us on there for updates. We'll be posting as well. And we will actually be launching the website very soon as well. So be checking that out. It'll be bigapplehockeypodcast.com. We'll have bios and articles written up there. We'll have some people that'll be joining the team to be writing some articles about the Rangers, the Islanders, and around the league. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But yeah, so after that garbage display of hockey, I'm going to do a good, bad, and ugly. I'm going to do this quick because I've got to get up for work early, so I can't really stay on too long, unfortunately. So I'm going to do this real quick here. I see a comment already that I really like from Julian. I'm going to bookmark that because I'm going to address that. And that's a really, really good point. Julian, I definitely want to address that. I'm seeing some other comments from Brandon. I bookmark yours as well. But I want to just do this real quick because there's not a whole lot of good here. The one good thing that I saw about this game was the power play converted. It was the only source of offense. Again, the power play is carrying this team. They can't score 5-on-5. They can't. It's really bad. I can't even enjoy the one good part of this game. The only glimmer of light in the game, I can't even enjoy it because you have to look at the reality of things and know that they can't score 5-on-5 or even strength. It's bad. It's become bad. And the power play is really the only way they're getting offense, and they're not getting penalties called for them. I mean, they didn't get any penalties called until they were well out of this game. It seems like every game they're close in, they're not drawing penalties for some weird reason. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But, I mean, that's the only good part that I have about this. I can only say that the power play is it. And I mean, they move the puck well. They're getting shots on net, and they're getting goals out of it somehow. But that's really it. So that's it for the good for me.
That's good.
Now on to the absolute ugly. I'm not even going to play the clip because everything else in this game is just horrendous. They have this game, if anything, the only way I could describe this is if this was a child that was so ugly that it had a face only a mother could love. That's how ugly this game was. And I don't understand how this team can sit there and puck watch the way that they do. They just puck watch left and right. And it needs to stop. It absolutely needs to stop. And I don't know what it is with this team, but they just, on the first goal, the first and the third goal, Fox and Lindgren caught puck watching both times. And on the third goal, the three forwards, all three forwards, Zibanejad, Kreider, and Lafreniere, were just horrendous. Horrendous. They were just awful. And I've never seen it this bad. Even under Quinn, I mean, the defense would never sit around and puck watch the way they puck watched tonight. And I can't believe I just said that. I really can't believe I just said that, but it's true. At least with Quinn, they were running around like chickens with their heads cut off. These guys are just puck watching and lazy. No. Oh, no, David. No. No. Absolutely not. They ran around like chickens with their heads cut off, had no idea what they were doing, but they weren't puck watching and sitting there doing nothing. They were in the wrong spots, and they were running around out of position, but they weren't puck watching and sitting there and doing all this other crap like they were doing tonight. So, no, it just, things need to change, and the puck watching has to stop, and players need to being held accountable for their actions and their terrible play. So, I'm going to move on from that one real quick because there's just not a whole lot I can say otherwise. Not even Igor can save this defense right now. Igor's best goaltender in the league. He lets up 4. And all those chances that they got came from high danger areas. High danger areas. He had no chance on almost all of them. I mean, the O'Reilly shot for the 4th one that finally got him pulled. I didn't think the shot was great, but I don't think he was even ready for it because of the Mika turnover. Like, that just changed everything. I think if he would have had time to get ready for that shot, he would have stopped it. But just terrible. I don't know how you let that many chances. I don't agree with you, Jake Hanks. I don't think Brodzinski is good. I don't. Does he look better than the other garbage that we were peddling out there? Sure, but that's still not good. That's like trying to polish a turd. Sorry, he's just not. He's not good. He's not an NHL player. He's not. And the same goes for Julien Gauthier. The same goes for Dryden Hunt. The same goes for Greg McKegg. Same goes for Patrick Nemeth. These guys are not NHL caliber players. This team is going to get absolutely destroyed playing these guys in a playoff round. They're just no. And yeah, this is true. They're not going to win a cup with 2 or 3 more moves. Maybe they win a playoff round with 2-3 moves. That's how far away this team actually is. Igor has helped mask this all year. I've been talking about 5-on-5, lack of offense all year. Nothing has changed. Artemi Panarin, I don't know what's going on with him, but he is not playing great. And he needs to be better. He needs to be like the Artemi Panarin we've seen the last 2-3 years. So I just enough is enough. A lot of guys need to start pulling their own weight on this team. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But again, I just said this before, but 0 offense at 5-on-5. It needs to change. Something needs to change. Whether you're calling up Lauri Pajaniemi or whether Brennan Othman gets called up or something, I don't know. But Dryden Hunt cannot be in the top 6 anymore. He can't. That needs to change. It needs to change. Get him out of there. I throw Gauthier there for all I care. But Dryden Hunt cannot play there anymore. It's done. It's over with. He sucks. He doesn't belong in the NHL. And the experiment. It's time. It's done. You're not getting any production out of it. Lafreniere had another game where he was just kind of there. Chris Kreider, you need more from him. Mika Zibanejad looked like he was, again, the one guy who had legs early. And then after the goals, that's when they all gave up. It's embarrassing. Sean, you're right. It's embarrassing. So, but yeah, 0 offense at 5-on-5. Something needs to change. Turk has too long of a leash for guys like Gauthier, Hunt, Brodzinski, Reeves, Lindgren, Miller, Trouba, Nemeth, Strome, and Hedl. That's half of your lineup, more than half of your lineup, that's not pulling their own weight. You want to talk about Julien Gauthier? Guy can't finish. If he's not drawing penalties, what is he doing? Dryden Hunt just sucks. I mean, how many times do I have to say this? This guy doesn't belong in the NHL. If he's a 13th or 14th forward, okay, fine. You could do worse than him in that position, but he shouldn't be any more than that. Brodzinski, again, another one. If he's a 13th or 14th forward, okay, I guess, but he doesn't belong in the NHL. Ryan Reeves, as much as I loved what he's done for the locker room, he has been invisible. He needs to start actually playing because it doesn't even seem like he's playing at all. Who is he hitting? Because I don't know how he has the 3rd most hits in the NHL when I barely see him hit anybody in a game. Is he hitting people? Is he hitting players away from the puck or something and getting credit for it, because he's definitely not hitting the puck carrier. I can tell you that right now. And Jordan Greenway was taking runs at everybody on Tuesday, but where was Ryan Reeves to counteract that? Where was Ryan Reeves tonight? Yeah, David, I know why Brodziak is here. You don't need to tell me why he's here. And I get it, but he's not an NHL level player, and he can't be playing minutes. He can't be playing minutes. There has to be a deal made. Enough is enough. There is, Michael, if they're trying to showcase anybody, I don't know who it is they're trying to showcase, because, again, you're trying to polish a turd if you're trying to showcase any of these guys. Ryan Lindgren has just been awful for the past month. He needs to be taken off that top pair. It's that simple. They may not have a better option, but he needs to be taken off that top pair. Hey, John, I see you in there, but I want to try to breeze through this, because I'm going to do a very short Q&A, because I got to get up for work early. I didn't do one after the game Tuesday, so I felt like doing one tonight. But I mean, yeah, Brandon, that's pretty much it. Heedle's the only one they could try to showcase, if anything. And I don't know who's going to take any such sort of interest in him right now. And yeah, and the Kravtsov situation is a disaster. And I know a lot of the older generation of Ranger fans don't want to admit it. He's a crybaby. He's entitled. This and that. You know what? I don't know what to tell you, because the guys on the team aren't pulling their own weight, and they've become too comfortable in their situations. Too comfortable. So maybe Vitaly Kravtsov could help. And this team needed to get the crap kicked out of it. I know I forgot to mention Ryan Strome in there. Keandre Miller and Jacob Trouba have been awful defensively. They're one of the worst pairs in the league defensively. They have to be. Because every time they're out there, they're getting hemmed in their own zone. They can't break the puck out properly. And they give up high-danger scoring chances against out the wazoo. So those two, they need to sit or something. Someone needs to sit. You know what? If you're going to send a message, call up Zach Jones. And Ryan Lindgren has just been awful. Awful, awful, awful. But this team needed to get the crap kicked out of it. They needed it. There have been too many games throughout this season where they've played like crap defensively and have gotten away with it because of some timely goals in Igor Shesterkin. And that's a fact. Look up where they sit in 5-on-5 offense, in high danger chances against, in high danger chances for. Look these numbers up. They are bottom 5 to 10 percentile in all three of those major categories. Not lying. Look it up. Look it up if you don't believe me. I'm sure most of you do, but there are going to be Ranger fans out there that are going to say otherwise. And they're going to say all this great stuff about how Ryan Lindgren's a warrior and how he's like the reincarnation of Dan Girardi. You know what? I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't. I'm tired of it. I'm moving on. I'm done. Ryan Lindgren does not deserve to be on the top pairing anymore. And Adam Fox looks like he's tired of dragging his ass around. So I don't understand it. But this team really needed to get the crap kicked out of it. And hopefully this sends a message. And hopefully Gallant starts holding some players accountable and holds the right ones accountable. Ryan Strome needs to be held accountable for his play. Artemi Panarin needs to be held accountable for his play. I don't care that he's the best player on the team. He needs to be held. He needs to be held accountable. So, no, you're not missing a whole lot other than me losing my mind either, Course. So, welcome. But fourth youngest team in the league. I do not care about that number when you are making mistakes that you are told not to make in Pee-wee. Pee-wee. I don't understand how a team could be so bad defensively and be an NHL level team. And the reason why this continues to happen is because the coach doesn't do anything to address it, because The Hart Trophy caliber goaltender keeps bailing them out night after night. And he couldn't bail them out tonight. And Georgiev didn't bail them out on Tuesday. So I think it's time that the front office wakes up and starts looking to be proactive to make deals. It wouldn't shock me one bit if they went out and got Jacob Chikrin. One bit at this point. Because there is no way that this front office can look at this team defensively and say to themselves, wow, this team is good defensively. Especially after these past 2 games. And they've been bad all year with giving up high danger chances. All year, I've been saying it. Go back to all of my videos earlier on in the year. You'll see it. The receipts are there. They're real. I've been calling it all year that they are terrible in giving up high danger chances. So if the front office is seeing it, which I hope they are, then it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Wouldn't surprise me a 1 iota if they went out and they got Jacob Chikrin. I don't know what else to say. The other thing is this officiating has just been atrocious as of late for this team. It has been. Not that this was the reason they lost, but if they call the 3 calls in the first period, the O'Reilly trip on Miller, the O'Reilly hook, and here, Greg. There you go, bud. See more of them, buddy. Yeah. I'm done with this. With this crappy officiating all game, every game against them. There wasn't one penalty called for the Rangers when there were 3 blatant missed calls in the first. And the only time that they started calling penalties is when the Rangers were already down 3-0. I'm sorry, but you can't sit there and tell me that the way that the game is called today, that these teams are not committing penalties against this team. How is that possible? They call the game as soft as they've ever called it, and yet the Rangers are generating 0 penalties every game for the last 10 games. They've had, I think they've had 3 or more power plays 3 times in the last 12 games. If I went back in Hockey Reference and I went through the game logs, and I think it was the last 12 games. I've counted 3 games in which they've had 3 or more power plays. And one of those games, it was a delay of game and a high sticking call. So they're not getting the stick infractions called for them. The holding the stick calls, they're not getting them. The hooking calls, they're not getting them. The slashing calls, they're not getting them. Why is this? I mean, I wonder if Gallant had said something to them about the officiating in Pittsburgh, because I know John Cooper did. John Cooper said something, but it's just, you know what? It's a load of shit. It's a load of shit. And I honestly, if they call O'Reilly on the early tripping penalty on Keandre Miller, right about the time that St. Louis scored that goal is when O'Reilly would have been coming out of the penalty box. So you can't tell me that the game wouldn't have been changed in some sort of aspect. Not that I'm saying that it would have given them the win, but if you call something there, that first goal doesn't happen then. You never know what happens from there. So, again, shit effort. No heart. As someone said before, I'm sorry. No heart. But it just, yeah, Chris, it might have been the worst performance all year. And David, this is actually a great post here, because I'm done with my bullet points. That number in terms of age would mean something if it wasn't the vets making lazy plays and dumb mistakes. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what? I don't want to go full tinfoil, but it absolutely baffles me how this game can be called the way that it is today. And this team is somehow not generating penalties when you can clearly see stick infractions being committed against them. I don't get it. And then the Penguins game. The Penguins were committing penalties, and then the Rangers were retaliating, and they were calling both sides. So that means you're admitting that you're seeing the original penalty because you're calling the original penalty, but you're waiting for the team to retaliate to call the original penalty? The fuck is that about? I'm tired of it. I really am. I'm done with it. I'm just sick and tired of seeing just garbage officiating get involved in helping change outcomes of games. It just, something needs to change. Something needs to change. So I don't know what else to say in regards to this stuff. It's baffling. It's confusing. It just, I don't know what it is, but yes, Ariana, there are holes, but is Capo Caco that much of a difference maker? Kevin Rooney would help, but is he the needle mover? Come on. If we're going to be disingenuous, let's at least try to tone it down a little here. And it's nothing against you, Ariana, but there are so many Ranger fans that are saying that there's holes and this and that, and they're icing an AHL lineup. Even with those other guys in, they were still doing the same stuff. They were just getting away with it more because Igor was just lights out. This was one of those games where Igor was not lights out, and Georgiev is obviously not Igor. So you can't be like this when Georgiev is in net. Because Georgiev, you could breathe on him the wrong way. He'll get rattled, let up a shit goal, and there goes your game. I'm again, Ariana, I'm not trying to single you out, but it's just something I've seen that this is an AHL caliber team. This is an AHL caliber team. Yeah, and this is actually a great point from Anthony here. Look at a team like St. Louis and look at their production from their third line. What is their third line doing? Their third line is actually a very productive third line. The Rangers do not have a productive third line. The Rangers don't even have a productive second line at this point. Their first line is Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider, with Alexis Lafreniere coming in here and there. He's been a little better as of late, but these last few games, he just has not been up to par. So, yeah, and this is a great point, Brody. He looked like he tried to do the butt stomp for Mario. When you jump up in the air, Mario, and he flips around and he thwomps down on his butt. So yeah, he did. But I'm almost at the point of just pure disappointment and past anger because this is just terrible. The biggest thing that I see for me is that there are too many players that are comfortable in their spots. And they know that they're not going to be getting benched or having any type of consequences for their bad play. And that's a big, big problem for me. Because, like I said, it's your guys like Lindgren. And all right, and Keandre Miller. I've seen people accuse people of being racist against Keandre Miller anytime that Keandre Miller gets criticized. Enough of that. Enough of it. It's garbage. Keandre Miller has been atrocious defensively for over a year now. Over a year. That second half of last year, Keandre Miller hit a wall and turned into one of the worst defensemen defensively in the entire league. And if Zach Jones was in the lineup and did anything that Keandre Miller does on a regular basis, because Keandre Miller is good for 3 to 4 egregiously bad plays defensively a game, Zach Jones would be in a press box or on a bus back to Hartford. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Oh, that's right. It just came to me. Zach Jones is in Hartford! Why is Zach Jones in Hartford when Keandre Miller can sit there every damn game, make the same dumb mistakes, go out of position, and he gets treated with kid gloves? Why is this? Jacob Trouba, same stupid mistakes every game, but he doesn't get sat at all. I'm so glad we paid that guy $8 million per year against the cap. What an incredible contract, Gorton. What an incredible contract. Well done. It's not a meritocracy. This is not a meritocracy, Mike. It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. People are playing based on their reputation. And that the reputations that they have are fallacies. Fallacies at best. What has Keandre Miller done to prove that he belongs in this lineup on defense? Well, a goal here and there. He has 5 goals in a season. Great. Great. Patrick Nemeth has 4 less goals than he does. And Patrick Nemeth is a walking dumpster fire of a hockey player. Because Keandre Miller isn't good defensively. He isn't. What has Ryan Lindgren done lately to show that he is worth being on the first defensive pairing? Other than being Adam Fox's best friend. Anybody want to tell me? Anybody? Nobody knows, right? Because there is no answer there. He hasn't done anything. He's been horrible. Patrick Nemeth. What has he done to deserve anything other than being fired directly into the sun via cannon? Be better than Libor Hajek? Well, that's not even true because Libor Hajek is just as bad as he is. Why are we playing Patrick Nemeth? For what? He can't move the puck. He can't defend. He can block a couple of shots on a penalty kill. He's Swedish. That's what he's done. Yes, David. And you know what the best part about it is? The guy that he was brought in to help acclimate to North America is in Hartford. But Keandre Miller somehow never got sent down to Hartford over Nils Lundkvist when Nils Lundkvist is actually better in his own zone. Yeah. Just think about that. Think about that. You brought in a guy because he was Swedish and overpaid him stupidly. And you brought him to kind of acclimate a player in to the NHL because they're from the same country. And this player has been so bad, one of the worst defenders in the entire NHL, if not the worst. And the guy that he's supposed to acclimate is in the AHL. What does that tell you about the front office and coaching staff of this team? They have no fucking idea of what they're doing. None. And that's what scares me about this deadline. That's what scares me. It scares me to no end because now I can see them doing something even more stupid. I don't have any faith in this team's front office or their coaching staff right now. Because I don't know where the disconnect is, but there are too many guys that are not pulling their weight. And I get that they don't have a lot of options, but there are so many bad players in this lineup doing nothing to earn their spots. And they have zero to worry about when it comes to job security. It's a helpless situation. It's an absolutely helpless situation. And I don't know how you can fix this other than making deals. I don't. I'm out of words. I don't understand it. I don't understand how a coach that's supposed to be a Jack Adams level coach, a former Jack Adams winner, can take a look at this roster and see that these guys are playing well enough to earn these spots, because more than half of his roster is not pulling its own weight. And even some of his star players aren't pulling their own weight. And I can Arturi Lehkonen help? Sure. But is he going to drive all the offense in the bottom six? You're going to need another 2 players in the bottom 6 easy, if not more. I mean, you even if you went and got Ben Sherratt, what does he do? Replace Nemeth? Okay. That still doesn't fix the problem that your second pairing is one of the worst defensive pairings in the NHL defensively. Jacob Trouba might be putting up points, but his defense has just been horrible for the last month and change. I don't know. And I'm going to go through some of these bookmark comments. I bookmarked 5 of them. Julian said that this game convinced me of one thing, that trades need to happen. If that idiot Dolan had waited a few more years, Rangers would be ready to go. Yes. If Dolan hadn't put his hands on the team, this would be a different situation, and they would still be developing players. Would they'd be maybe fighting for a playoff spot right now. But you know what? The long-term future of the team would probably have been better off. That's what James Dolan does. James Dolan is a cancer of an owner. Cancer. Brandon says these past 2 games just show how badly we need to make some trades for a playoff push. Couldn't agree more. I've been shouting for Phil Kessel. Saying that for a while. Give me Rickard Rakell. Sure. If you could go get those 2 and you could start mixing them in lines, great. Capo Caco coming back will help, but to what point? Everett says that the breakout out of their own zone is disgusting. Well, it's not disgusting because there is no breakout out of their own zone. It's terrible. David Wood says this is just a tough matchup. I thought we would lose last game too. The Blues are a 4-checking cycle team. We are a rush team and horrible along the boards. Yes, and that is a problem because this team plays too much. I think there was something that Larry Brooks wrote in the Post today about Artemi Panarin being constrained by Gerard Gallant's style. Okay? Well, Artemi Panarin needs to learn that you can't just play off the rush. You don't win like that in the playoffs. You have to cycle. You have to play along the boards. That's how you're going to win playoff rounds and playoff series. If you think that you're going to get by playing fancy east-west hockey off the rush and pass the puck into the net, that ain't happening. The Rangers got their faces absolutely pounded into the ice against Carolina in that bubble series, in that 3-game play-in series. And I thought for the more veteran status guys in that team that would have been a wake-up call to say, hey, you know what, this fancy rush hockey, it ain't going to work in the playoffs. But they don't seem to be getting the message. And that's scary. And Brandon, this is the last bookmark one that I had. I think it's time that Gallant thinks about shaking up that top D pair as well. They've been terrible as of late. Yeah, I've been saying this for a while, but you can't say that because that's the top defenseman. So. David, hi, this is a good point, but yeah, Dolan could have just fired Quinn, and that could have been it. He didn't have to do the other stuff. Jack, hi, yeah, oof, it's enough said, I should say. Brody, when it comes to breaking out of our own zone, it's sad that our elite puck handling goalie Igor does it better than most of our D-men and forwards. Yeah, this is 100% accurate. John Lee says, I criticize Keandre Miller. Yeah, you do. You do. But a lot of fans don't. A lot of fans say that, you can't. Anytime you criticize him, you're like accused of either being racist or too hard on him. And it's stupid. I'm tired of it. Chris T, Fox has not been good in this past 10 games. Yeah, and part of that is that he's dragging Ryan Lindgren's corpse around the ice. I mean, he played better tonight than he played in quite some time, but tell you right now, Ryan Lindgren is not helping him. Ryan Lindgren has to get his shit together. And yeah, Chris, I do agree. I wish he'd shoot the puck more too, Fox. So Thomas Cappellini loves seeing Hunt get his ass beat for not belonging there. You know what? I'm tired of seeing Hunt out there. Tired of it. Used to be that the 5-on-5 offense awful and the 5-on-5 defense is okay. Now we're both in the gutter, says Jack. The defense was never really great at 5-on-5. Igor helped really bail them out, and they were giving up a lot of high danger scoring chances. I mean, if you saw the numbers earlier on in the year, this isn't a surprise. This was a game that Igor could not help them out in. The chances were just too much. They were in too great of high danger scoring areas, and that just spelled their ultimate doom. That was it. I'm probably going to go to 11:30, and then I'm going to go off. So another 9 minutes because I've got to wake up early. But yeah, Ranger Twitter is a hoot, Sean. I'm on there, so yeah. And yeah, Keandre Miller is just. I don't care for his game defensively. Yeah, David, I get this that he's not a shutdown type, but he's not great offensively. If he was a good offensive defenseman, if he was like Tony DeAngelo, where he was like a big point producer, I could deal with his mistakes then. But his defensive mistakes totally outweigh his offensive output. His offensive output is here, and his defensive mistakes are here through the roof. It's not like a Tony DeAngelo where his defensive mistakes or his offensive output is here and his defensive mistakes are here. So the gap between them is literally like this. Bailey, I would move Keandre Miller in a Jacob Chychrun deal like that. Wouldn't even think about if Arizona called and said they wanted Keandre Miller, I would drive Keandre Miller to Arizona myself. I would carry his bags into the Coyotes front office and everything. Mike, thank you. Just remember, like, share, and subscribe, please. I wish I could be a little more upbeat and a little more positive, but it's just one of those nights where it's just really hard to be upbeat. But again, please, thank you, Mike, and then everybody, please just remember, like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, DeAngelo, I get that, David, that Anthony DeAngelo took a while, but Anthony DeAngelo also saw there were signs with him. And Tony DeAngelo, I don't know why I'm calling him Anthony DeAngelo. Nobody calls him Anthony. It's Tony. It's Tony. So, yeah, but he was there before that. So, DeAngelo in 2018-19 scored at a 40-point pace. He was there in 2018-19. And then it was his fourth year in the league that he broke out big time. So it wasn't his fifth year in the league. The fifth year in the league was last year, David. So, yeah, Brandon, that's not a secret. Everybody knows that Jones is better than Nemeth, other than the Rangers front office for whatever reason. Thank you for whoever made that like. We totally appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, if you aren't going to move Jones up, then move Schneider away from Nemeth and just, yeah. Did he spend time in the minors? Yeah, he did. He was drafted in 2014, so he played the 2014-15 and 2015-16 seasons in the minors. Yes, sure. But Keandre Miller needs to go down. He needs to go down. And yeah, David, this is a great point. They've never had those super combos because they're never bad enough to get first overall draft picks. And then the first overall draft pick that they get is Alexi Lafreniere, but they don't know how to develop him because they've got three guys that don't belong developing players in Tanner Glass, Matt Hunwick, and Jed Ortmeyer. So that's what happens. That's what happens. Yeah, I don't like that deal for Philadelphia for Ristolainen. I don't know what they were thinking there. He's part of why their team is so bad defensively. Yeah, he's awful. He is awful defensively. And I mean, the offense just isn't there. I don't know how you give him a 5-year, $25 million deal with the stats that he's had this year. Like, look at those stats. It just awful. 2 goals, 13 points, minus 11 in 49 games this year. And the funny part about him is that he starts 57% of his zone starts in the defense in the defensive zone, and he's just awful. He shouldn't be starting that many shifts in the defensive zone. He should be starting in the offensive zone, and he's still bad. Oh, geez. I mean, he doesn't get power play time. He's not really a power play guy. I don't know what they're doing with him. And yes, John, that is Chuck Fletcher. And the Philadelphia gave the Sabres a first round pick for Ristolainen. David, I'm not sure of who you're talking about here by wasting him. I'm not sure. If just want to clarify for me, I'll address that then. But yeah, it's terrible that this team can go out there and continue to just be this bad defensively. If I'm Igor Shesterkin, what I would have done is after the third goal, after the first intermission, I would have just said, "You don't want to play? I'm not going to play." That's what I would have said. And if I'm Turk, I'm going in there. I'm saying, congrats. You didn't show up to play. You don't care about winning. Well, you know what? Then I don't care about coaching. And I would have pulled a Keenan. And I would have just said, that's it. That's how a team loses faith in you. No, I would have just said no. I don't care at this point because I don't have any faith in you right now. I don't have any faith in you. That's what I would have said as a coach. Screw it. You don't want to show up to play? You have a guy that goes out there and busts his ass every night to make sure that his team wins games, despite how bad this team has been defensively. And none of you want to show up. None of you. Spineless, heartless, cowards with no balls. No balls is what this team has played like. Sean, I'm with you on this. I don't know how to think of the idea of this team upgrading because I don't know. I don't trust this front office. I don't. The decisions are just bad. I hate to bring up the Buchnevich trade, but it was bad. Bad. And if that's a sign of things to come, I don't know if I want to know how these things are going to shape out. Lafreniere has scored a little bit as of late, but his last few games, I would say four or so games, he's been going back to more of like the old Alexi Lafreniere. And no, David, I don't think anybody's saying there was going to be a 1-year fix, but this team has regressed so hard defensively, so hard, and the efforts just aren't there from quite a few players, and something needs to change. Something needs to change. But I'm going to wrap it up. I got to start heading to sleep. Thank you all for joining me. I wanted to do this after I didn't do it Tuesday night. Tuesday night was just, one, I was not in the mood, and two, I was so tired. I needed to get sleep. So, yeah, I had to make sure that I got some sleep after the night I had before that. So, yeah, so I want to make sure that, I got on here and do that. And I just, yeah. I don't know what else to say. I'm like out of words, but thank you all again for joining me. I don't know how it's going to be going forward, just because of the fact that I will be working some weird hours, like Tuesdays through Saturdays, 1 to 10. So there are going to be a lot of games. I may be able to do morning videos, but I don't know how many people are really going to be able to join live in the mornings. So, but we'll see. I'll try to post videos. So, but thank you all for joining. Have a good night. And hopefully the next game is a hell of a lot better than this.